Make sure we're live everywhere. Let's see, we have TikTok, we have Facebook, and we have a YouTube. And so everybody, hello. My name is Eunice. I go by Nurse Eunice. And I want to tell you about one of my wonderful classmates, Janeen Smith. So Janeen, we've been knowing each other for decades.
Oh, yes.
We don't look like it. And so the purpose of us getting here today is because I want to share some wonderful information with you all. I want to talk about myths and money and also about insurance. I am that person who I'm kind of obsessed with making sure that my son won't have to get it out the mud. And if he does, I'm going to be the mud. And right. So Janeen is one of the people that I reached out to when I needed insurance, when I wanted to talk about, certain things, financial matters. And I've also referred a few of my friends with you. And she helped me pass my life insurance examination. Look, that you have good ideals and you have God ideals. And so me becoming a life insurance representative, I always wanted to do it, but it's just that life got so busy until I think that was more of a good ideal, but us being here together today is definitely a God ideal. So welcome, Janeen.
Thank you so much.
And so I want Janeen to tell you a little bit about herself, and then we're going to start helping you grow. So money and myths, we got to talk about this because some of you all, you didn't get the proper training. They don't teach you money in school.
That's true.
And so you don't know about inheritances and insurances, etc. Exactly. And so if you want to leave a legacy for your children's children, Janeen's going to show you how. All right, so welcome, Janeen.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And when you mentioned the different platforms, I was like, I'm new on the TikTok side, and I forgot to tell you that I'm over there. But hey, we'll make sure we connect it all because I'm the Wealthy Habits Pro on TikTok, and then also on Facebook we have our group Wealthy Habits. So that's been my brand that's been going mostly lately, is being able to help people to build wealthy habits. And so that is what I am. I basically have had this purpose for some time.
Yes.
And I've started to turn it into something that's more relatable to people. Because I'm licensed in financial services for 24 years, but there's changing of the times.
So when you think about finances, when you think about life insurance, locally we think about Janeen. So she's really humble, so we're not going to call her the GOAT. I'm just going to say, if you need somebody who is reputable and certified. All right, so that's a biggie. And so now tell me about your organization, your business, and what I love about you is you're celebrating 24 years in business, right? Yes, congratulations. Yes. Hey. So 24 years in business, but you also have a family business.
Absolutely. So because we deal with finances, we're talking to people about their money. It's a whole full service financial services, and we've had our office over in the downtown Jacksonville area for since 2005. So we're going on 20 years this year, and our sons both came up in the business because that's all they know is their parents being entrepreneurs, and both of them, as they got of age, were able to obtain their licenses.
That is amazing.
And so that has created our family business, our family legacy that we plan to continue.
What a proud mommy moment. Okay, right now, I know she's a business owner, but definitely a proud mama moment because I know they have their own career ambitions. Mm-hmm. And them learning everything they've learned from you about business, about finances, it's just going to prepare them that much more. So absolutely. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
All right, and so now Lionel and Associates?
Lionel Smith and Associates, okay. Yes.
And so how would, if someone, because we're going to get started with our questions soon, if someone want to, speak with you, to ask you questions, how would they contact you?
Facebook has ways to be able to get in contact, be able to join some of our groups that we have. Our office is actually in the Beaver Street Enterprise Center. If you are in the Jacksonville area, we are in the Beaver Street Enterprise Center. I guess I could say my main website, or being able to have people get in touch, is dealing with How Money Works. And so I guess I can drop that at the end also, just therealhowmoneyworks.com, and it's / my name, Janeen Smith. So
even I had to ask, how do we spell Janeen?
Yes, okay. That's a good point. Janeen.
All right, so Janeen Smith at How Money Works.
So it starts off as howmoneyworks.com, and you do / Janeen Smith. Janeen Smith.
So perfect. So now that we're doing the introduction, I want to start asking you some of these questions because, of course, I hear it. Being a nurse educator who's helping to train many people up, so they're either transitioning from one career to another. So this could be their second career, meaning that they could be older, or it could be somebody who just finished high school, where traditional college wasn't an option for them, so they want to take a fast track career course. Either way, their finances may not be the best.
Okay.
And then no one has really taught them about money. So us being here today, I want to ask you some questions. And the first question I want to ask you is life insurance only for old people?
And you know, the funny thing, and really, I meant to give this background that September is actually Life Insurance Awareness Month.
Yes.
And so that is a reason why a lot of this conversation is going to be geared towards life insurance. You're going to hear a lot about that in these myths. But when you talk about, life insurance being for old people, like, listen, we want to make it till we're old, obviously. But the best time to buy life insurance, when it's actually less expensive and easier to get, is when you're younger. Okay, so just understand that's the lowest cost. I tell people you're never going to be younger than you are right now. Like, so when is the best time to get it? Now.
And so, of course, this was years ago because I'm almost 50. But and I, don't remember the exact policy, but I remember as a brand new nurse having over $1 million in life insurance. Because I wanted to make sure, I didn't have kids. I just wanted to make sure that if something happened to me, that my family was going to be taken care of, that my mom would still be taken care of. And so is life insurance only for old people?
Definitely not. Like I said, it's actually cheaper and smarter to get it while you are younger.
Yeah, I think my policy for $1 million back then was, $75. And so imagine now, you're spending that much on your hair, your nails.
Absolutely.
So one salon visit could have paid for your health insurance or life insurance, for a few months. So you got to think about what's important, the legacy that you're leaving your kids or your aesthetics.
Exactly.
Okay. And so it has to be a balance. The next myth is if I don't have kids, why would I need life insurance, Janeen?
It's all about, does anyone depend on your income, or do you help anyone even while you're here? So sometimes we have aging parents, sometimes we have nephews, nieces, other people that we may help out while we're here. And if we would want them to still be able to get help if we weren't here,
yes,
that's what we have to look at. It's basically, it can be for, several different reasons, but that, the money would be provided for. But we do want to make sure, not just if we have kids, but if anyone that you want to help or provide for if you weren't here.
Awesome. And so do only breadwinners need life insurance? Let's say it's a husband and a wife, and the wife is the homemaker, the husband goes out. Should he be the only one with insurance?
And I get this all the time. A lot of times the men do have that, in macho, let me beat on my chest, like, I provide. So, I'm the one that needs the life insurance.
Yes.
And I say, you know what, that is exactly right. And we definitely need to make sure we protect your income. But in the event that something happened to your wife, who's going to take care of the children? Who's going to take care of the home? Who's going to do those things while you're still out here working and providing?
Yes.
Because somebody would still have to do those things. So even if she's not getting paid for it right now, there is definitely something to be replaced. So
there's a financial cost, a financial obligation.
Absolutely.
If the wife isn't in the house taking care of everything, now you have to pay for childcare. We know how much that costs. And then college and private school, especially if mom's homeschooling, because you want to have that same type of value in the education system. So our next myth, isn't life insurance really just about covering burial expenses? Look, just bury me, just cremate me.
But the thing is, that's what we've always kind of thought, like, oh, that's what life insurance is for, just to, to take care of the final expenses. But honestly, it's all about who's left behind.
Yes.
So whoever's left behind still needs to be able to live the life that they probably were living off of that person's income.
Understood.
And that income's no longer here. So that's just a small piece, is, paying for those final expenses. We definitely want to make sure we replace that income.
And unfortunately, I've seen where if a couple had been together for years, we're just, for lack of a better term, call them a common law couple. They weren't married, and one of them dies, but they were so used to commingling money and funds, and now when one of them leaves and they didn't have a life insurance policy, you've not just lost your best friend, you've also lost your support system. So no, life insurance is just not for burial expenses. And life insurance isn't for you.
It's exactly.
It's for the people you leave behind.
That is it.
So now let's talk about affordability and coverage confusion. Is life insurance too expensive?
Yeah, that's what I think people tend to think, and that's why they don't necessarily pursue getting it, because they're like, oh, I don't need another bill, or they feel like they can't afford it, even though we're paying for a whole lot of other stuff that we want, you know how that works.
Coffee is now $12 to $14. So if you can afford coffee.
Exactly. On a daily basis, you start adding that up, but the actual, real cost of life insurance is overestimated by most people. So if you sit down with a professional and you actually get a quote, you're usually pleasantly surprised.
Yes. So term insurance, because it's, there's different types of insurance, but someone told me that term insurance is a waste of money since it expires.
And, I'm glad you brought that up. There's really only two types of life insurance. Term is going to be your pure life insurance that you buy just like you buy auto insurance, homeowners, health, any of those other types of insurance. It's usually just pure insurance coverage, whereas there's other types of life insurance that all pretty much fall into the same category, which is life insurance with a savings. I know a lot of people hear the names whole life or cash value, or, we've got a lot of newer products that are out. But in the case of those, they always have some type of savings along with it. So to come back to term being, expiring, we kind of look at it, it's just like we look at any other insurances. They all are going to expire, like your auto insurance does, your homeowner's insurance does, but it's not a waste of money because it's actually protecting you in the event you have a loss. Like a lot of times, like say, don't give you anything back if you don't have an accident with your car, but you had to have that insurance, right? And it's the same way with the life insurance. We hope to be here, but if we need it, it's there for us.
Yeah, I'd rather have it and not need it,
Absolutely.
and then need it and not have it. Because remember, my son is not getting it from the mud. We
That's
are
right.
going to make sure that
That's right.
My children's children, they're going to look back and they're going to be like, "Wow, Grandma was awesome. She made sure she looked out for us."
Yes.
All right. So our next one is if someone has, and this is a myth, someone has their employer coverage. Why isn't that enough?
Wow. The thing is, most of the time, they're only going to give you like 1 to 2 times your salary as your benefit, as a death benefit. And so what we found is actually experts are going to tell you minimum 5, but really more like 10 times your income that you need to have in order to replace it or to be able to provide, for your family that's left behind. So we definitely want to make sure we have enough. And one other thing about the job, it's not that you don't own it. You don't own it, and the employer owns it, and they have control. When you don't own something, you don't have control. And so you need it to be there when you want it to be there when you need it. So
this is going to be a segue, but I'll make sure I go back to it. There's somebody I know who continues to work even though they're getting older, and they continue to work because they're afraid to go out and purchase their own health and their life insurance. And this person is a business owner, and I'm like, hey, your business generates enough revenue for you to be able to pay for your own insurances. And so about every 3 months, she reaches back out to me and she asks me these business questions, and I remind her, girl, you can afford to pay for your own insurance. And if not, you're going to keep working with me. Look, I'm a business coach. I'm an executive business coach. And I help nurses, CNAs, etc. boss up. And so that's the purpose of this conversation, because you can't be bossing up if you're buying red bottles, but you don't have life insurance. And so I want to, just really encourage you. If you're only dependent on your employer's insurance, 1 million people have gotten laid off this year.
wow.
So if you're only concerned, and that could be rounded up, I think it was 970 when I looked last, but let's just round it up. 1 million people have got laid off. That's 1 million people who no longer have coverage from their employers.
Exactly. It does not go with you.
So staying in that vein, is life insurance, because like our community, credit unions, they offer us life insurance. So why can't I just get their policy and keep that?
And again, it's the same kind of vein where even employer-sponsored insurance and then the ones through the credit union or the banks, they are group insurance. And so as you're a part of that group, you do get the benefit, and it's usually pretty inexpensive. But again, the problem is you don't own it, you're a participant, and it's usually not as much as you probably need, like what we mentioned before.
Yeah,
so, and then
1 or 2 times, 120,000. I'm sorry, I want to leave my son with $500,000, $1 million, and I just need you to budget how much, and that's something you help with, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
what do you call that when you're helping them decide how much coverage they need?
The income protection number is what we'll use, because we look at what are the wishes, what are the things that they would want to take care of. Do they want to pay certain things off? Do they want to be able to provide for that child's education? Do they want to, so we look at those things, and then what income would still be needed, especially if there are dependents. And so when we get those things, that gives us a number. They call it the income protection number.
Thank you. All right, so whole life versus BTID. Okay, I am a nurse, and we have our own set of acronyms. And now in the insurance and financial world, you all have acronyms.
Absolutely.
What is BTID?
Buy term and invest the difference.
Okay.
And that is really the idea of separating two things that the industry have bundled together. Okay. And really those two things, as I mentioned earlier, they're only those two types of life insurance. Like I said, you can have a whole lot of different ones that fall under the whole life and the cash value, but they are all made in that same form where they're bundled, two concepts together. Term can be just pure insurance, and investments can be just investments.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, isn't whole insurance just basically like a forced investment strategy or policy?
Like making you save,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's actually forced overpaying, because you end up having to pay more to have this forced savings.
Okay.
And it really doesn't even create a savings as much as it creates a line of credit, because you actually have to borrow.
I was thinking about that, because if I'm thinking about if I'm saving, I want to have liquidity.
Exactly.
And so if I'm saving money and I just can't be like, hey, I'm a little bit short this month, let me go and get, no, I have to go through a whole process to get my own money.
Yes.
I don't want a loan against my own money.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk about cash value. Isn't the cash value in the whole life, what you just said, is it free money, or is I gotta borrow my own money? So here it is. I get this insurance because someone has recommended it. Make sure you do your research. Someone has recommended a certain type of insurance, and I've done my and I trusted them, and I got this insurance, and they're telling me there's a savings attached to it, but you just said it's not like free money. I just can't get it back.
Exactly. I mean, it is told that it's your money and you've paid it in there. But the thing about accessing that money, it is in the form of a loan. And that's the thing about it, is you borrow it. It seems like, oh, it's a good thing I'm borrowing from myself, but technically not. Who's holding the money and who's receiving the interest? That's who you're borrowing from, and that's the company.
They're getting interest off of my money that I have to request permission to get back.
They absolutely
I don't like that. All right, so I have one more question about whole life. Isn't whole life better because it's permanent protection? Because we talked about term, and I remember my $1 million policy was good for 25 years, but it was super cheap because I got it when I was young and healthy. I just got some of my insurances. I got new insurances because I'm approaching 50, and I wanted to ensure my insurability. And the reason why I was like, let me get these new policies in, because now I have a policy that's going to actually be with me until I turn 100. And it's not that expensive. So for me, term works, but for someone else, isn't whole life just a waste of money because it's, it's permanent, right? Is it better?
So the thing is, I think people like that word permanent, just like we like ownership versus renting and certain things that, words that sound better. But when we talk about permanent, it really means more expensive. Because what's happening is you're paying, like you said, through age 100. But let's look at life. Do we really need the coverage through age 100? Because if we're investing separately, which the goal is for you to actually have the money that you need to have saved as you're approaching retirement and as you're getting to the age where you would want to live off of that money. So as you have the money, you really don't have to pay a life insurance company anymore to have money available for your family, because your money is able to pass on. That's legacy.
Well, I want to, because I did make a mistake. This one wasn't strictly a life insurance policy.
Okay.
This was long-term care.
Okay, yes.
Because your girl got insurance.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes.
Look, I want my long-term care. I have 2 ADLs.
Absolutely.
I have 2 deficits. Then I can start receiving, finances. So besides, and we'll continue with the questions, but besides life insurance, what else can you help someone, obtain? So is it disability coverage? What all do you assist with?
So mainly when we're doing the financial game plan, we're looking at the full financial house. Okay, so the full financial house can include things, first of all, like the foundation, which is life insurance. But then we look at things like making sure just more like estate planning type, making sure your legal things are in order, wills and, those type of things. We do have legal protection.
Do you help with trust? Because that's a term that
is a part of the legal protection program. Yes, ma'am.
Good.
And, one of the things that people do ask about is can, life insurance be put into a trust? And, they have specific things. I'm not the attorney side of it.
Yes, I'm sorry. This is not legal advice. We're just having a conversation.
Yes. I'm not the attorney, but I do understand that if you set that trust up with our legal protection program, that you can go ahead and put the beneficiary on your life insurance that you have with us as the trust. So those are things that I know people are concerned with these days, because they're hearing a lot more about
probate and everything else. You want to avoid probate, put your home, and then so those I guess it's called inheritance taxes, where it says you have two things in life: you have death and taxes.
Yes.
And so if you just have a will and you die, you left your family to deal with.
That's true.
All of those taxes.
That's
so
true.
what Janene's speaking of is really important, because you gotta have, especially look, now we have content creation, we are now authors, we have like 5 different businesses on top of what we went to college for. You gotta have somebody who knows what they're doing to help you manage your legacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
So and so I have intellectual property. So I don't plan on going nowhere. Remember, I'm gonna be here till I'm about 120. They're gonna find a way. I'm gonna be here. I'm still gonna be teaching. It's gonna be real cool.
But just to finish with that house though as well too, because even after that area, you got to deal with things like getting out of debt, things like making sure that we are budgeting and putting certain things in order, and then of course the investing, because that's the biggest part, is to be able to help people get to the point where their money is working harder for them than they work for it.
Okay, so to sum it up, instead of someone having this permanent policy, they can have a term policy, because your organization, you and your team, you're going to help them with their finances to actually structure a plan to where, as they age, they're going to have more savings and they'll need less insurance.
Exactly. You just described our theory of decreasing responsibility. That was perfect. Like, listen, earlier years you need more life insurance because you don't have the money saved yet. But later years we have more money, so your need for life insurance goes down.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So thank you for sharing that. All right. Our next segment is going to be about investing. And so, myth: if I don't know how to invest, does whole life make sense? Like, do I got to choose which fund I'm putting the money in?
And I think sometimes people turn to that because they feel like, oh, I don't know anything about investing. I don't know anything about this market and all of that. And it's kind of scary sometimes to not understand it. But definitely, if you're sitting down with a professional that has not just a life insurance license, but also an investment license, they're going to be able to talk to you about both. And I think a lot of times, the agents that people are dealing with, when they talk about investing in life insurance, only hold that license.
Okay.
And so that's the thing. But
so it's on one side. It's one-sided. Okay. It benefits them. This is all I offer, so that's all I'm going to offer you. Okay.
And so if you're able to keep the life insurance and the investment separately, you have to be dealing with someone who can educate you on and be able to help you get those investments started.
Okay. So piggybacking off of that, can I just invest without buying life insurance? Because I got a Robinhood account. So why can't I just invest in Robinhood? I don't do well on Robinhood. I don't.
It comes back. I mean, the honest truth is, when you talk about life insurance, it comes back to the foundation. Like, yes, I want our clients to invest. And a lot of times people come for that specific reason. But then we look at, is there anyone who depends on you, or that you want to make sure, still taken care of? Or do you just not want to leave a bill for your family if something happens to you? That's the reason you still need life insurance. But you need the basic, just term, and we look at how much you need. It may not even be a lot, but you still want to make sure you have that in place, and then you get that investment going.
And so I have both with Primerica. So I have my life insurance, and I have the investment portion. But then when I get like this extra play money, I probably should be telling you that because of how you're looking at me right now. That's when I go and do my crypto and whatever else I want to do. But so and then that way it seems like I'm a little more hands-on, and I can watch the trends, and so it's hard to do everything. So how does, I'm just going to call them money managers, because I don't know a better term for it. How does your money managers, once we have put the money in investments, how do they determine the right fund for us?
So mutual funds is what we work with, and they are professionally managed money.
Okay.
And so these are people who obviously are in that field. They are money managers. They manage millions of, dollars, and they actually watch and know when to make moves.
Okay.
Okay. And so, but yes, as being within a mutual fund, you're pooling your money with a whole lot of other people. So my $100 a month, your $50 a month, I hope I didn't mess up the microphone. But your, $200 a month, all the different amounts are pooling together and buying really, into the stock market. And people understand stocks as, individual businesses. Well, mutual funds has hundreds of those within that particular investment.
All right. So let's say, because that's going to be what's going to happen to me, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. It's happening. Don't y'all come for me right now.
Listen.
I'm not there yet. I'm speaking it to existence.
Speak it.
Will I still need life insurance?
So the actual goal is to actually become self-insured. That is what it is. So you still would have life insurance that you fund, if that makes sense. So technically, you don't have to keep paying a life insurance company. That's why we say term can be temporary, because you don't need it all your life if you have the money saved. Once you become self-insured, that money, and you can make sure that you've placed and made sure that what's needed for the different things are already taken care of. A lot of people pre-plan and do all those different things, but if you have that money, it's not a necessity for you to have life insurance any longer.
Okay. And so let's say there's someone that isn't necessarily a multimillionaire, but their homes are paid off. So that would be another type of person who could self-insure.
Exactly,
Okay, right.
exactly. And that's the idea. The goal is to become self-insured. Like, I want to get to the part where the amount of money that I have is more than maybe the coverage that I'm actually paying for. So then I can stop paying for that, and I can add that premium money over back to keep padding my
Love it. I love it. All right, so I reached out to you a few weeks ago, and I was like, hey, I just want to go back and, just review my policies again. And particularly, I wanted to make sure that I had enough additional coverage for my son. And it's not that I want, expected anything to happen to him, but I'm like, even like the cost of burials now, everything is so expensive. And so what is your guidance? Do kids need life insurance policies also?
So, and I try to help people to understand they themselves don't need to be the primary or to have a policy on themselves. A lot of people are familiar with like Gerber and, I hate to throw out names, but those things that
I've been paying for that for like 13 years now. I've been paying $10 a month for 13 years. I need to cancel that.
Listen. A lot of people do that because they think, oh, this is a good thing. But understand, kids don't actually have an income, and not in most cases, right? Not something that you're needing to replace.
Understood.
Right? And so what we're doing with children is we usually have them covered as a rider on with their parents. And that rider would cover those expenses that you're talking about. Because, we're upward of 20,000 these days that people are actually paying
for.
In those, obviously, when there is no life insurance, they find a way to do it for a lot less, but it still costs. It costs a lot to come here and to leave this earth. Like, to come into this earth and leave this earth. You look at those bills, what it was like to deliver a child versus, and then, when we're leaving here, that's expensive. It's expensive.
Yeah. And so let's go back to my associate who still works in the facility, who's afraid to leave the company, even though she's aging out, because she doesn't want to get her own personal insurance policies. So when I recommend your services to her, should I be telling her that she needs to get 2 to 3 times what her income is? Like, how do you make the suggestion as to how much she needs in insurance?
Got you. And so going through that income protection number that I mentioned before, it's a series of, a few questions that we really pretty much ask about what the wishes are for that person.
So you make it individualized.
It's definitely customized. Yes. And that's really what helps us to know, hey, you only need this amount to cover those things that you said are important to you. Or it might be, hey, you really need this amount, because it all depends on that person and what they're wanting, what their wishes are.
And so I think it took me 2 years to reach back out to you. First of all, life has been lifing. So, I probably would have reached out to you sooner had life not been life in the way that life is, currently doing. But it took me 2 years to reach back out to you to say, hey, let's review my policies. how often should I really be doing
That's
that?
a great question. And the thing is, annually is a good rule of thumb.
Okay.
Annually is a really good rule of thumb. And we've tried to get a little better with kind of even reaching out as, you know, you might get the little soft emails like, hey, you know, that
Soft
this is time.
emails.
But, you know, the little reminder is just saying that this is a good time for us to, you know, I try to tell people maybe the first of the year, because that's when everybody's usually thinking about things right at the beginning of the year. Hey, let's do your, you know, checkup and make sure everything's running the way you want it to run so that we can know that this year is going to, you know, be able to go smoothly financially.
So how long will that checkup take? And does it have to be in person?
That's a great thing. So one of the biggest things that came out of COVID is doing everything virtually.
Okay.
The majority of our meetings are, you know, done via Zoom. And so that's always an option, but we do have some people who prefer to come into an office if you're local, and we can meet right in our, you know, office as well.
All right, so meeting in the office, because when COVID came, there was like this really big influx of remote, I can meet you online, televisits. And so let's say we have somebody who is young, they're watching this and they're like, you know what, I'm a new nurse, I'm 21, I make this money, I'm going to listen to Nurse Eunice, I'm going to go ahead and get my own life insurance policy, but I'm going to go to, and I hope this is not a real website, lifeinsurance101.com. What's the benefit of speaking with a financial representative versus going to an online insurance company?
Got you. And you know, that's the thing. These days we go online for everything. Like literally you can look up and you can find, you can DIY, you can, you know, all that stuff is online.
Yes.
And there are some things that it's great for. But life insurance and your financial planning, that's not one of them.
I need to see the person. I want to see you. I want to, you know, touch you. I want to actually go to your office, because if I'm going to be sending money somewhere, you know, I want to avoid a fraud as much as possible. And so I know that you have a wonderful reputation, but when you're going online to, I hope this isn't a real website, lifeinsurance101.com.
Right. You just
don't know. So what would be your takeaway? What advice would you give? Because we're trying to get more young people to be thinking about their finances. What advice would they give if they don't have a Janeen Smith in their area?
And you know, the thing is, sitting with a professional is not as hard as most people think. I think a lot of times people think, they think that this great term, the financial advisor and all of that kind of stuff, and they think it's costly. That's what a lot of people ask me. So what's your fee? What's your fee? And I help people to understand that there are people like myself out there that we work by, you know, we serve, and what we're able to do is put a plan together, and our, you know, basically we're paid by the companies we represent that we actually help you implement your plans with. And then also by referrals. Like I tell people, I'm real expensive. I cost, you know, referrals, because I want you to be able to tell somebody else that, hey, you know, I was able to get some things in order, and I think you should talk to my money person. You know, it's really simple, but most people just don't know where to go to get that help.
So is there like a national website or something? Because, you know, we have 3 different platforms we're streaming to.
That's true.
And so where are your licenses
Gotcha.
held? And if they can't contact you, how would they contact someone reputable?
I got you. So our office is a Primerica, you know, representing offices. So people heard of Primerica Financial Services. We represent the companies through them, where we deal with our life insurance, when we deal with our investment products, where we deal with mortgages. So there's so many aspects to that financial services realm. But literally a Primerica.com, you know, just check would actually get you, you know, in touch with, you know, someone in the area. One of the great things about it now, just because, as you mentioned, we are able to be licensed in several states because of the virtual. So it doesn't limit you to only having to meet with somebody, unless you're just wanting to be in person, obviously. But I tell people Zoom is still face-to-face.
Yes.
It is literally still face-to-face, and everything that we do when it comes to I call it paperwork still, but that is nothing paper about it. It's all electronic applications and things like that. Is done where you can be able to see it, you know, right there on the Zoom and things like that. So,
and I can attest, it's really easy. You get your contracts, you get to, you know, get an electronic version, which you can later, you know, print off. But so what states are you licensed in?
You know what? So I'm going to actually send you to the website just so you can see them all.
She wants you to go to her website, y'all. Y'all go to her website.
So I'm going to give you the one that you can see licenses and everything, y'all, because I even told you all at the beginning, howmoneyworks.com. is our, main area where you can go. You can get a free book. You can be able to learn so much. But at the end of that, therealhowmoneyworks.com, you want to put / and I'm sending you to Lionel Smith. The reason why, because Lionel Smith, you're going to actually see everything about our office.
Y'all. That's her boo. That's her husband.
Lionel Smith and Associates is a partner, right? So, you'll see everything about our office, and you'll see all the different locations and the things where we're licensed and all of that. So therealhowmoneyworks.com is your main thing, but after that / Lionel, Lionel Smith, will take you to a wealth of information and all of the ways to contact us. And you'll see my smiling face on there with him as well. You'll see our pictures.
Yeah. All right, so we're almost to the end.
Yes.
So you all who've been watching live, we want to thank you all.
Awesome.
You're awesome.
Woo.
So my young folks, let's say you've seen our office staff. I'm the oldest person here. Everyone's, 25
awesome.
and younger. I love them.
Awesome.
That's right. Utilize those brain cells.
Yes.
We have them creating content. They help us with our digital marketing.
Yes.
So, but they're kind of camera shy. So they do everything behind the camera, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But how do I convince them that they need life insurance?
Again, you're the youngest and the healthiest that you'll be right now. Like, you're not going to get any younger or any healthier. And you don't know life is what it is, and we just don't understand. We don't know when our time is going to come. So, anything, that could happen to a young person, they could be healthy, and, an accident can happen. That has nothing to do with your health, or your age. But
so let's talk about that. They're healthy today. Tomorrow they have a car accident in which they may have some type of brain or bone injury. How does that impact their insurability?
So life insurance is something you have to qualify for. Maybe, like I say it that way, people can't just buy it. You actually have to qualify for it. And so that term that you use, being insurable, companies are basically looking at, are they wanting to take that risk?
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to. Are they wanting to take that risk? And if you're a higher risk for not being here with us, very long, then there may be a case where either they're going to charge more for covering you for what you're wanting, or they may not even approve coverage. So it is very important that you try to ensure your insurability. I heard you say that earlier, because you want to make sure that you can get what you can get while you can get it.
So now I'm going to take it to the other end. I got so many questions for her, so many myths. All right, so I've been I saw one of our classmates in a store, and I was, look, if you ever see me with my bonnet on, that means I won't be there long. Just ignore me. When I have my bonnet on, I'm invisible.
Yes.
So yes, I'm in this store, I have my bonnet on, just running in to get a few household supplies or what have you. And I see one of our classmates, and she and I have always been on the larger size. She was having breathing problems. And when I looked, literally the next day, I started walking. I'm going to be losing weight. And so every time I say that I'm going to start my weight loss journey, I always say I'm going to start on the first. And the first never comes. And so this time, I have lost 13 pounds, you all. I am almost 195. Yes. But I didn't do it because of how I look. I did it because I was pre-hypertensive. I was pre-diabetic. Those numbers were creeping up, and I wasn't doing anything about it. And so I said all of that to say this. A lot of our nurses and healthcare professionals don't take care of themselves. And so what happens if now that someone is 50 and they're separated from their hospital system, now they try to get insurance, but they have diabetes or high blood pressure? How is that going to impact their insurability?
So it absolutely has an impact. The questions that are asked in the insurance application is going to go through all of those things. I always tell people, you're just honest and you answer appropriately, and they'll make the decision. In the case, like I mentioned, sometimes they'll charge more for that higher risk. And then sometimes it is not available. It's just, they're not able to issue a policy. Then in those cases, we try to encourage people, a little more on the savings side, just trying to work with them on that. And then we'll also, sometimes even recommend going and doing prepayment because that is an option. We don't offer it, but we do recommend people sometimes that they can go to, or we, tell them to go to any funeral home that their family, may be associated with. And you really can start to prepay because that's your next best thing. Because expensive life insurance that will offer it to you when you have, high risk, a lot of them come with stipulations. You might have to live so many years before it would even pay out. And there's so many things that go along with it. You're sometimes better off, let's just go ahead and start paying for those things that we're not wanting to leave a bill for our family.
That's some really good advice. And so my advice is, if you're like me, you're approaching 50 and you're seeing that you're not that active, is, yes, you want to reach out to Janeen. She can especially assist you, but I need for you to get active, to start losing weight, to start taking your health seriously. Absolutely. Because remember, I'm trying to live till I'm 120 and I want to look good in the process. Yes. So you just having life insurance but being unhealthy is not that's not the goal.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So and it's full circle, because a lot of times when you come to us, when we're talking about your finances and things like that, but all of these things affect your life, and your health is very important. We use the term wealthy habits because I kind of took the play on healthy habits, because I feel like all of those things are starting to kind of work together. We started doing something, and I'll go ahead and throw it out there, is the Miracle Morning, and that actually has made a huge difference in our lives and our business, because it's a routine and it's making sure you do certain activities every day. And one of those activities is exercise, because it is so important to be able to move your body, to make sure you're doing things. And coming back on the insurance side of it, sometimes you can change things, because someone who's been declined can come back after they've made some changes and, what they call reconsideration. Because if they have made some positive changes and have something different or something new to present to the insurance company, that, hey, I'm this weight now, or I'm, these different things have changed, my numbers have changed or whatever, they could come back. And I have seen people get approved after making those changes.
All right,
so
I love
glad
that.
You brought that
so
up.
Now I'm all happy, because, the little nurse in me, I'm like, hold up now. I know my babies, they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
But
all right.
They
can change. All right, so you know what, Janeen? I can't figure this out. I don't want to deal with it. What should I do?
So most people, listen, if I wasn't licensed in this field, I wouldn't be this, knowing anything about life insurance. It's not something you just kind of go and read about thinking it's interesting, right?
Why do you think it's creepy? It's morbid.
Yeah,
why are you always talking about death, Eunice?
Exactly, because the name life insurance, it really don't have anything to do with life. It's more about, the death. And so you do want someone who, like I talk about staying in your lane. Like, listen, I'm not trying to do the things that nurses do or any of those things. And I want people who are professionals and who do those things for a living to be able to help me in those areas, because I can't do it for myself, or it would be hard for me to do it for myself.
Reach out for professionals also.
Professional help.
So if I don't know what to do, instead of freaking out or instead of staying stagnant and doing nothing,
then I'm going to
I'm going to ask for help.
You have to ask for help. I mean, and that's the thing about it. It's out here, but you like I said, a lot of times you need to know where to go to look for it. And I think that's a big part of even why I've done a little bit more trying to be visible, when it even comes to social media, because I want people to be able to find me when they do need.
I saw her, y'all.
Listen.
She now has caricatures and she has a Superwoman shirt on. So if you think Nurse Eunice is doing a lot, Janeen Smith is over here.
I want people to be able to find me. I want people to be able to find me, because like you said, it's like a lot of times people, I don't know what to do. I want them to be able to say, well, hey, I seen somebody talking about that, and
Nurse Eunice knows somebody. my referral fee is coffee. All right, but I even cut back on that. I'm like, look, coffee costs too much. And so when I noticed that, when I changed my eating habits, because this is how I justify eating out.
Okay.
Your girl's a content creator, and so YouTube will be paying me a little bit. And so I'm like, oh, I can afford this. So yeah, I was just eating unhealthy because I could afford it. So now I'm like, nope, I'm going to have my water in the morning, my protein shake for lunch, and then I'm going to have a sensible dinner. And so me actually taking ownership of my health is improving my finances. So like you
Wow.
say, it's all full circle.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of people have gotten laid off, Janeen. And so this is one of the last questions I'm going to ask you. A lot of people have gotten laid off, and maybe they need a job. Maybe they, and these are professionals that got laid off. They already have degrees. What opportunities are there with your organization?
I got you. And the funny thing is, I've been talking to more and more people, especially in my family and people that I'm close to, about just having a professional license. It's just something to be able to fall back on.
Yes.
And if you ever find yourself in that situation like what you were just talking about, it's always great to be able to have, like, what my husband always describes as a spare tire.
Yes.
Like, listen, you have a spare tire in that car. Do you plan to use it? No, but you got it.
Yeah. And it's
Just
always
in
going to
case.
happen at an inconvenient time. So I joke with people whenever I have a car issue, I'm like, the car knew that I got paid. So
right.
Fortunately I had a car issue when I had
The money.
But now these people are having financial issues, and now even if they do get like separation pay or whatever, so now I at one time was a life insurance agent. What is that process like? Is it something that you recommend, and if so, should they be reaching out to you or to Primerica?
Absolutely. So I would say this, having a professional license, as I was mentioning, is a great way to keep a spare tire, spare income. That's, you kind of look at it that way. But our opportunity actually does help people to get the life insurance license, as well as the investment license. Both of those licenses can be able to cost upwards of over $1,000 if you were to do it on your own. You do it through us, and the company actually subsidizes that. So that's the great part about it is I talk to people all the time. Have you ever thought about getting a professional license? Have you ever thought about being able to teach people when it comes to, about their money? And they're like, oh, I don't know anything about it. Exactly. That's why you probably want to learn it.
Yes.
So not just to teach others, but for yourself, be able to learn it for yourself. So yes, reaching out to me, through any of the socials, or like I told you, the website, you can be able to learn more about our opportunity. We, on a regular basis, actually on Monday evenings, we do a live presentation at 7 p.m. And that actually gives people a lot more information. They can come on and see our faces, see faces of several other people on the team that we work with, and that gives them an opportunity to see more about what we have to offer.
Understood. Well, thank you so much, girl. My church
awesome.
hug. This is my classmate, y'all.
It is. We go all
the way back.
Middle school. Well, it wasn't middle school then.
No.
They were 7th grade centers and 6th grade centers and all that stuff.
So this is excellence. I'm not just going to say Black excellence. It is just woman-owned business, just being financially independent, being business owners. So you all, I want you to collaborate and partner, celebrate your sisters. And so if you have a platform and you've not called in someone who can help. So a lot of times, especially on social media, we talk about hair, nails, trips. We talk about liabilities. It is rare that someone's talking about assets. And so you are an asset, and I appreciate you.
And I'm so excited that you even asked. I was like, somebody who has 1 million followers wants me to come and talk with her. Awesome.
I'm just Eunice from the hood. All right. And so you all, I see you all. Thank you all for the hearts. We love you. And so here's the fun part. Janeen has to figure out how to stop her live, and I'm going to stop this live, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.